Well, there you are. This is Kurt Manana Mas. Good to see you on this happy Monday. I am trying to get over my funk. So, sometimes I just like to be super transparent with you. Had a funky week last week. Last week, I was supposed to go to a mountain bike race, and I was supposed to be a coach with the kids at the mountain bikes. I was also supposed to go to press conf, and I really wanted to go to press conf. But here's the thing. One thing after another, after another, after another was coming up as an obstacle for me to get to press conf. And this is going to sound really bizarre, but it wasn't finances. Like somebody else was willing to pay my way to go to press conf. So it wasn't even finances. It was just in general, life was getting in the way of me going to this press conf event. Now, I want to take you back, way back. I'm going to say 17, 18, 19 or 20 years ago. 19 or 20 years ago, I was supposed to be the camera bike in a movie about motorcycle road racing. If you know anything about me, or if you are seeing this picture right here, that picture should tell you that I am into motorcycle road racing. Did it for about 20 years, really loved it, was pretty good at it. Am I a household name? By no means am I a household name. So if you actually find any recordings of me, at a national, it would be when the leaders were passing me. Okay, so I was not super, super fast. But here's the deal. I got hired by this production company to be the bike that would carry all the cameras in a live AMA sanctioned road race. And I was supposed to go and do this right after my daughter was born. And this was another one of these things where one thing after another just popped up and became an obstacle in me doing this race. And I was really bullheaded about it. Like, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go, no matter what gets in my way, I am going to overcome it and I'm going to go do this thing. And finally, the day that I was supposed to hop in the car and drive to Colorado Springs to ride this 200 horsepower GSXR 1000 with $500,000 of cameras strewn all over it. The day that I was supposed to go do this, I went to get my daughter out of the car, rather innocuous setting. She was an infant. I went to get her out of the car. She was in the back seat. And as I reached in to get her out of the back seat, somehow the seatbelt, which was loose, got around my leg, around my ankle. And as I started to step back with the infant in my arms, I realized I'm tied up in the seatbelt and I started to lose my balance. And as I lost my balance, I twisted because I didn't want to drop the baby. So I grabbed the baby real hard and I fell backwards. The baby didn't get hurt. The baby thought it was funny. The baby, my daughter Rainey, started laughing uncontrollably. She thought it was a great ride. But I spiral fractured my ankle. So did not get to race that motorcycle, did not get to do certain things. Press comp was like a very similar thing for me. I wanted to go, but there were all these obstacles. And then literally the week that I would have gone to press comp and I got a camper van I could have driven. I could have picked up a last minute airfare ticket. We could go over all the things I could have done, but I didn't do. And last Monday I was taking the trash out and I kind of stumbled a little bit and loosened my grip on the trash can, one of those big trash cans on wheels, and it swung back, landed on the ground, and the handle went through my pinky toe. I say through because I didn't realize at the time. I was like, oh, that's like stubbing my toe. Like, ow, it hurt. But, I put the trash can out on the curb, walked back in the house, sat down to do my work. But here's the deal. About a half hour later, I was like, oh my goodness, why am I getting so sweaty? Why is my foot hot? And then it hit me. Oh no, I broke it. I dropped the trash can on my foot and I broke it. So I pulled off my sock, pulled off my shoe, pulled off my sock, and it was already bruised, turning colors and pointing in a funny direction. Like I had broken my pinky toe. It hurt like the dickens to walk on it. Later in the week, I couldn't even put a shoe on. So all last week, when you saw me going live, when you saw me doing things and trying to be cheerful and smile through things, there were multiple things that were giving me funk in my week. I couldn't wear shoes. I didn't want to take a bunch of ibuprofen or Tylenol. I didn't want to damage my liver or any of that weird stuff. I quit drinking 3 weeks ago, right? So I couldn't even have like a glass of bourbon with it, to dull the pain. Let's just be real, right? It's like, yeah, let's have a drink. No, I couldn't even have a drink, right? Because I'm trying to lose some weight. And so last week was just kind of a little bit of a bummer. Wanted to go mountain biking, couldn't go. Wanted to go to press conf in Arizona, didn't go. Broke my foot. Didn't even wear shoes for the rest of the week. I did put on shoes to go to the grocery store, limped around for a while, came back and it was all swollen up and purple. And I said, well, maybe I shouldn't do that for a little while, right? So still healing, still on the mend from that. But then there's other things. And some of that funk came from some big personalities in the WordPress space not getting along with each other, making me second guess some of the decisions I've made. As an agency, I bought some software. I bought a lifetime deal. I'm a sucker for a lifetime deal. Bought a lifetime deal on some software. It got released last week for an alpha test, and I tested it, and I'm not horribly disappointed, but it didn't do some things that I thought I saw the founder doing with it on a screen share the week before. And so I was like, well, did I get a bad version? Is his version different? Of course, his version's different. So right now, this alpha version is still very, very light on what it's delivering. I still have a lot of hope in it. I still have a lot of faith in it. All these things, but I was hoping for more last week. So it's just kind of like that funk, right? So that funk. Now, in my mind, I'm like, dude's making a whole new thing. I don't want to go into details about it, not on this live, but he's making a whole new thing. And all these people are like, it's a ripoff. It's a this, it's a that. He's not coming through. Folks, I work directly on the Lifter LMS team. And, sometimes we come up with an idea and we go, hey, we're going to put this on the board. We're going to make this thing happen. And then the developers start working on it. And 6 months later, 6 months later, we have something to see, right? That's for a little piece of something in a bigger platform. This person is building something huge, and it's only been 6 months, and people are putting these crazy expectations out there that, this should be a competitive piece of software right out of the chute. And it's not. His marketing technique was to give us a taste, right? Like any good drug dealer, give us a taste, and then hopefully, see us clamoring for more and increasing demand so that, those of us with the lifetime deal, we should be happy. We got in a lifetime deal. But when he releases this to the public, it'll be at some escalated price based on the hype and the hoopla and all the promises. And I get it. I totally get it. But it's still added to the funk. And so I wanted to break out of the funk. So I thought that doing something would make it happen. So today I jumped out. Last week, we had our first episode that we recorded. Today was our second episode that we recorded, and we have a new podcast coming out. So me and Toby Crines are the co-hosts. It's part of the WP Minute Menu. I'm sure that Matt is going to do some awesome release or do something wonderful. But for us, it's just fun. It's like WordPress agency based. It's giving me some energy back, and it's helping to break some of that funk that I was talking about. And I thought, well, how do I articulate that funk? And I was on Reddit, and Reddit's another thing that I just decided to do. I wasn't on Reddit before, but now I'm like, you know what? I see a lot of screenshots from Reddit or links to Reddit. I'll sign up for Reddit and I'll see what damage I can do in Reddit. And I came across this one and said, I'm a WordPress developer with 11 years of experience, but I feel left behind, trying to catch up with Gutenberg, full site editing, React, etc. Any advice? I think that's part of where the funk is coming from. If I'm going to be honest with you, I want to kind of steal the seed of this conversation from this post. You see, here we are. We're coming like through all of these things. I said that was a really big project that was getting released last week, where I'd get a preview of this new platform, this new builder in WordPress, and so there was that, right? So I know that I have a huge learning curve in that. I have a huge learning curve in the finer points of bricks. I can do stuff with bricks from an enterprise perspective that I couldn't do with Elementor. And so there's this Elementor side of my brain, and then there's this full site editing side of my brain. There's the work I do directly with Lifter LMS. There's the work I do directly with WP Tonic. And you know what? The customers in those spaces, they require different expertise. People would say, oh, a membership site's a membership site, a learning site's a learning site. It's different. The creators in these spaces vary. They're just a little bit different all the way around. And so when I look at this, I think to myself, how do we get out of this funk? And are other people in this funk? And, I try to generalize my talks when I jump on lives, right? So it's not just about WordPress. It's about things in general. I am seeing wholesale funk come in general business. Like, we're not making any decisions on training until X, Y, and Z happens. We want to wait and see what President Trump does with tariffs. We want to wait and see what happens with immigration. We want to wait and see. This wait and see thing with business, to me, is one of the most toxic things that can possibly happen. Because here's the deal. People that waited and saw during the pandemic, what did they do? They lost. People that found an opportunity within the obstacles, what did they do? They won. My agency is one of those agencies that found opportunities within the obstacles during the pandemic. I thought that it would be a much higher range of opportunity than it was. I thought that I could shoot for the moon during the pandemic and things would happen. It turned out that I didn't exactly get to the moon. The good news is that when you create goals that are really far out there and then you attain a portion of that goal, chances are a portion of that huge goal is still greater than the person that said, I'm going to stick a pin in things and wait it out. This is not the time to wait. So just as I said, I'm trying to break through this funk that I'm in this right now. Like, I'm trying to, I don't want last week to be the next month. I want last week to be done, right? So even though my foot still hurts, even though I'm still looking at things like, I got to learn this new platform, I got to get better at bricks, I got to this, I got to that, and all of that, here's what really comes away. And all of that, I still really need to fill my sales funnel. I still really need to ask you to link, subscribe, like, all those things that I should be asking you for. I need to do on a regular basis. If you like the messaging, if you like the way that I talk to you on a regular basis, like and subscribe, like and subscribe, like and subscribe. Here's a news flash. I make all these talks because I'm trying to show people that I would be a good business consultant. I'm somebody that says, hey, here's reality, but here's optimism. Here's reality. This is what we're dealing with, but this is where we can go. And if you have any inkling that you can go that way, I'm here to give you those steps to get you there. And in most cases, it's going to involve reworking some kind of internet presence to make your message more palpable to the humans out there looking at stuff. And so if that sounds like a winner to you, you need to go to Mañana No Mas and book yourself a call, book yourself some time, take a look at what we offer. What you see on the first couple of pages of Mañana No Mas only scratch the surface. I mean, we do curriculum development, we do leadership coaching, we do process auditing, we help people process their process maps, right? So we help people audit and build their process maps so they understand their own business better. A lot of times, the owner of the business is up in the office doing the things that owners do, phone calls and messages and meetings and all these things, and everything's going on in their business around them. And they make these assumptions that there's processes in place. They make these assumptions that this leader or that leader within their company has things in control. And generally, they do not. Generally, they survive each day rather than thrive in their own market space. So my goal as a entrepreneur, as a consultant, is to help people identify this low-hanging fruit, identify this lack of process, and then in some cases, convert that process into an e-learning platform or communication platform that the company can share its message and find a way to forge forward. So that's it in a nutshell. I'm looking at messages like this one. I'm a WordPress developer with 11 years of experience, but I feel left behind. Newsflash, if you're in technology, you're always left behind. Even if there's someone at the top of the food chain that's a developer with OpenAI that's making ChatGPT, do you think they understand every nuance about PHP? Do you think they understand every nuance about React? Do you think they understand every nuance about some SaaS platform? No, you can't know everything about everything. You can be a really good generalist and then have a specialty, but you can't be everything to everybody, right? Which is why I went from being a freelancer to an agency owner. Having a network of really strong team members work with me. You know, if you need customizations, I got a customizations person. You need some curriculum done in SCORM, I've got a wonderful, wonderful author for that, right? So that's perfect. You need help with copywriting, I've got a copywriter. You need help with graphics, I got like 3 graphics people, and it depends. Once I do the needs assessment with the client, then I go, oh, that's a good one for Michelle, right? That's a good one for, and then you go, okay, this is how I'm delegating my tasks. But that's what it takes to find opportunities within the obstacles. Folks, if we are in business and we're sitting around waiting to see what the president's going to do, so we know if our local regional business is going to expand or contract, that is a fool's mission. That is a fool's mission. Nothing they're doing in those offices should have a high enough impact on our small businesses. And, I'm saying that, like, unless you're Amazon, unless you're Tesla, unless you are, Netflix, you're a small business. I mean, I know that, you could say, oh no, we do 5 million a year. We do 10 million a year. We do 12 million a year. In the grand scheme of things, that is still a small to medium business. I just worked with Suzuki for a while, and I worked with Ducati, and I worked with all these brands, worked with BRP. And so you come away and you look at those brands, those are huge companies. And then when you see the way they actually run on the inside, you're like, this is a medium-sized company. This is a medium-sized company. So we have to keep our scope and our scale in a box that makes more sense. Stuff that is happening with immigration, with climate, with Bitcoin, with folks, if you do nothing, you're going backwards. You're either going forwards or you're going backwards. But if you stay the course and you stay exactly where you're at, you don't change a thing, you went backwards. So you're either going forward or you're going backward. And you have to choose which way do you want to go? Which way do you want to go? And so my commitment to you is today's Monday and I'm getting out of my funk, right? Today's Monday, I'm getting out of my funk. I encourage you to get out of your funk. Figure out whatever it is that you got to do to make that happen. And I will talk to you very, very soon. Bye-bye.